Scratch.
There it is.
I think I have to start counting way earlier when I do that thing.
Yeah.
And try to throw it in. That was like 3, 2, 1, and then 5 minutes of lag.
Quarter, an eighth.
30 seconds of lag, and I think we're live now. What's going on, kids?
So we're switching it up. I brought some sand to the beach, as we say. I brought a friend to the podcast that isn't in our usual.
Oh,
circle.
I didn't get that metaphor at all.
Yeah, he brings sand to the beach.
Oh, I thought that I didn't. Oh, so you're friends with Bales. I thought you were because last week Rory said that he was going to bring a blacksmithing friend, and I got all confused.
That's not me.
Yeah.
Wow. So have you been friends?
I was going to convert Justin into a blacksmith by the end of this podcast. Was the plan?
Yeah.
Dude,
That would be impressive, especially if I can learn that skill by the end of this podcast.
well, a couple of things. First of all, Rory, I know the fans can't see, but the quality of your camera right now, I don't know if you've changed something, but it's like ultra high resolution. I know that this is not good because it's an audio podcast, but at least for my benefit, it's like every detail in your room.
Wow.
Welcome.
I think you just entered the
nice.
spank bank.
Oh, shoot. In any event, so okay, go on. How did you meet Bales, and why is Bales the way he is?
Oh, should we do the quick round robin? I mean, it's kind of a cold intro.
How about since he's a sandy beach guy or whatever you called him, why don't we give like the 2-second bio?
Oh God, I have to squeeze into 2 seconds.
Well, not 2 seconds, but
And go.
I'm Justin.
hi, Justin.
Hi. I know Bales from Berklee College of Music. Actually, we met 21 years ago.
1997.
That's enough time for us to. So you would be a good judge to sort of fill in the blanks for us of all the mysteries that are left unknown. Okay.
Yes,
Continue.
probably. So Bales and I have been in bands together on and off for the past 2 decades. Right now he probably told you about the 9 Inch Nails cover thing that we're doing.
He can't stop talking. He's incessant at every hour.
Okay,
waking,
good.
asleep. It's constant.
Yeah, so we're doing that. We were in a couple original bands together, and yeah, that's how we know each other.
Yeah, so Justin
And we lived together for a while.
We did. We were apartment mates twice.
We were
Dude,
hetero
I'm
life
sorry.
mates.
I'm sorry, Justin.
So Justin's a musician. He's a desktop support guy, wife, kid, lives a mile away from me.
Yeah.
Artist. Also does a podcast that he publishes straight to YouTube.
My wife and I do a YouTube show. We get drunk and we watch movies and we talk about them. And sometimes it's funny.
Oh.
It's funnier when we're more drunk.
And what's the name of this podcast, Justin?
It's called Parents' Night In.
Oh my gosh.
And it can
Amanda
be
and
found.
I were talking about
found on
doing the
YouTube.
exact same thing, but with marijuana.
That works. We might spin off into that, actually. I have a friend who's into that. So we might have him on.
I think in 2 years, the entire country's going to be doing that. It's going to be everything plus baked. Yeah, you know what? Now that we can all do this, you know what we should do this? Wait, what? Okay. Yeah.
Is it Parents' Night In podcast?
It's just called Parents' Night In. If you Google Parents' Night In YouTube, it should come up, I think.
Okay.
Speaking of getting baked, how were those Big Mac quesadillas, Doc?
Oh, they were killer. They were just killer. There were none left.
I'm still a little disappointed that you didn't go 3 tortilla.
I like I said, I thought about it, and I thought it was going to be a construction mess, and they didn't need it. That would have been grandstanding.
You might have a YouTube series idea there. Make everything into quesadillas. Kind of like I want everything to be a taco. Like
yeah,
Big Mac taco.
The problem when you go taco is getting the flavoring in the shell. Like everything is corn. The quesadilla, you don't get that. I think the crunchiness kind of brings you one way.
I guess.
I can wax poetic about tacos all night.
I love tacos.
Before I press the subscribe button, is this your channel?
Yes, it is.
I am going to subscribe, and it's enough. Enough.com. What?
Enougha.com is my website.
Oh yeah. Justin also does like blogging.
Yeah, I do a lot of blogging about like movies and wrestling and other nerdy shit. Sorry,
and let me ask you about this. The enough boy, that's a freaking tongue. Enough.com. So these are podcasts solely. You're not like on video. You're just vamping off of what you and your lady are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We record the audio and then I add some visual aids and visual gags and stuff like that.
Awesome, dude. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Justin,
it's basically like a film commentary, but I boil it down to like 40 minutes or so an episode usually.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so I'm subscribed.
Sweet.
Nice. You can expect like, I don't know, I would say as many as 7 subscribers. No, we're going to say 7. We'll all do it. Maybe 3.
That's good. That's
3 of the 10 listeners might.
That's almost double what we have.
Wander all over there. I was going to say your avatar guy on your page there that Eloy was just showing.
Yeah.
That's the same guy I would use for myself, except I would change the color of different things, different color beard, different color glasses. Same dude though.
Bitmoji is a powerful tool.
So I just want to randomly, not really randomly, but we do have we have missing information from Bales, because sometimes Bales encloses himself into this shell, and he'll either go into a pondering, quiet, sort of stern, stoic sort of vibe, or he'll explode into some wild attacks that leaves everybody shattered and destroyed internally, emotionally. He does one or the other. And but there's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be the day-to-day Bales that's not on the fringes of, ecstasy or freaking, total evil debauch.
Bipolar.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
There is.
So what are some cool and weird things? Just, some anecdotes that you got. Hit us with whatever you got, whatever you'd like to.
Well, one of my favorite stories to tell about Bales, we were living together, and he was single at the time, so we were hanging out in his room, and he was reading. It was the Boston Phoenix, I believe, which was a newspaper that used to be around years ago. So he's reading the classified section for some reason, and there's personal ads in there, and he's just looking at all the different like women who have put out personal ads, and he's like, "Oh, this one seems promising. 5'7", brown hair, blue eyes, cancer. Wait." Why would she put in the ad that she has cancer? And I was like, no, you idiot. She doesn't have cancer. She is a cancer. And he was like, oh, I really thought to. Oh, my God. Oh, okay.
That's great.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Bale sat one back. He's saying 5'7", dark complexion, black hair, asthma.
Rickets.
I mean, at least cancer, it wouldn't be too long of a commitment.
By the way, I was really reaching for something that wasn't a STD. There, I knew if I said something that was going to be an STD, it was going to be too cliches, and asthma was.
She likes long walks on the beach, and she'll wipe your whole village out.
He thought she was the frail lady from Fight Club.
Ooh, she was like a dirty hot.
No, I meant the cancer patient at the beginning.
Oh, I thought you meant the one that he.
No, not Marla Singer.
Oh, damn. Okay, take it back.
Whew, man, that's no one wants to touch that.
Yeah,
Marla Singer.
What else was there?
Yeah, what else?
Well, there was the time I had hooked up with a girl, and he unbeknownst to him, so he had a habit for some reason of barging in on like a Sunday morning, wearing only a towel on his morning wood, as though his morning wood were a towel rack. So one morning he barges in wearing just that, and he's like, "Hey, look who's up! Oh, you have someone in here. I'm sorry."
Well, you're at home. You want comfort, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but the thing was, is the covers were totally off, and it looked like she had a cat.
She was she looked like I had picked her up out of the 70s, let's say.
Yeah.
I think that girl's dead now.
Oh, wow, that got dark.
Whoa!
No, I think our friend Dan. So I hooked up with this girl because my friend Dan's girlfriend at the time was like best friends with her, and we all went out drinking. And I hooked up with her, and a few years ago he was like, "Oh, that girl's dead now." I was like, "What?"
Oh boy,
yeah,
that's not good. You know, I have noticed. So I have a couple of friends from Boston. Aside from the way we all connected, and I'm sure you know already, is through the maker community, which is this, okay. So, well, the audience doesn't need to know. They'll figure it out. And we met through, and so, but I've had friends that live in the Boston, Massachusetts area for decades. And I always, at least, you can't judge from just the few people you know, but I've noticed a trend that might not be true as a whole, but I see it in Bales, and you just had a little bit of that humor. There's sort of like a little humor that's slightly, there's hints of darkness there.
That could be like a Northeast thing, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that in a negative or a positive. I've noticed.
No, I mean, I think New York humor is like that too, probably.
So it's like, a regional.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not from here, though.
You're not, but you've lived here a long time.
That's true.
You're saying that because Bales has this sort of, and I can see that in a friend of mine. I'm not going to name his name because he's extremely in that direction of, but not macabre and just you guys are just playing with little, and you throw in a little bit of little dark thing. And I've just met you, so you just threw in a little thing. You added that cancer thing, and cancer's like a word that I stay away from. Like it's like so horrific and nightmarish. It puts people like and yet some people are quite comfortable with it. As an example, but Bales has more examples of that when we're chatting and stuff. Whereas, like, say, Doc and Rory as well, I think, and myself, we tend not to, there's joking, but it goes into maybe the gross, but gross, not macabre. What say you? Am I? Is this just I'm making this up, or do you think there's something to that?
I think there's probably something to that. I mean, I haven't lived anywhere else. But, I mean, we deal with, 4 or 5 months out of the year where it's just gray all the time. And you get depressed and you have to kind of joke about it just to keep yourself sane, as it were.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of comedians from this area are like that, too. Just have like this really kind of sick place that they go to.
Well, down here, we're all about,
Where are you?
Trees. I'm down here in Miami. So we have palm trees and everybody's laughing all the time. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah, we're all dealing with just snow and gray and rain, and I feel like England is kind of that way too. England has that kind of sick darkness that they go to because they're just looking at gray stuff all the time.
My friend collects all sorts, and there's nothing wrong with it. All sorts of weaponry, but of like Eastern Bloc, and and then has like paraphernalia of just defunct regimes, and there's nothing wrong with that on its own. But if you attach everything else to the guy, and he's a great guy, he's smack dab from, he came down to study and then went. I've talked about him before in the podcast. But enough about me. Go ahead, guys. Interject, will ya?
What do you got, Bales?
I like to let you go when you're on a rip like that.
Yeah, me
I was
too.
just asking questions,
That was Eloy. That was good. That was like some of your best work.
Yeah,
Talking about your friend Vlad and all his weapons.
How did you make all that connection? It's actually true.
His name's Vlad?
Vlad the Impaler?
No, but he could easily fit into that.
Yeah. I could see you having a friend named Vladimir.
I like you. You want to see my rifles?
Vladimir, the Gator wrestler. He has a background in Gator wrestling. Wrestling. I go to that place every once in a while, I think. Not as often, but I definitely have it. I have a filter, I think, where I try not to talk about stuff like that. And sometimes if I think something's funny, I'll just start talking and I'll pick that up like mid sentence. I'll be like, oh, this joke's kind of off color. I'll catch myself, but I definitely have those thoughts for sure. It's more in my head than something I leave go. But yeah,
it's normal. It's normal, Doc. I think it is normal, you know. And I'm not calling the Bostonians out. Bostonians, Bostonians, Bostonites,
Bostains.
Bostains,
Bostonannies.
Bostonannies. I think it's totally normal to have a little bit of that, you know, Rob Zombie style would be an extreme, but entertaining nonetheless. Rory, come on, man. It's time to bust out of that Colorado cold, rocky, and just shower us, man.
And get dirty.
I love the dark, inappropriate humor, and will go as far as anybody else will. But knowing that we have a community kind of watching us, I do keep some things reserved for when the record button isn't on, we'll say.
You like to keep a little bit of a distinct balance, right?
Yeah.
He's also a business owner. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't want to be the dirty Smith with the filthy mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have that. People boycotting.
So,
but they would go, but he was funny.
Yeah. At first, I think it was a little bit easier before we really knew the scope of the impact. Not that there's impact, but just the length that this is going to be out there. Like, you think about it, like, and I think about it, especially with the boys. One day they may be listening to this, and I just don't want them to think that I'm a raging.
Yeah, but you're looking at it through, and by the way, I think I have, and I think we all have thought of that. We go through, so we're kind of talking like we would if we were teenagers hanging out at a friend's house and just shooting the breeze or out and about, and how friends would talk. You don't have a filter. You say, hey, man, you're being a dick, or hey, man, this, and, you act a certain way with people that you're not close to. You have sort of formalities. And then amongst friends, you could tell them, oh, man, you're being stupid, or, you're such an idiot. And you could go places that so there's sort of like a compartmentalized. And now we're doing this thing that for all, as far as we can tell, will be forever and ever going. But I would just say this one bit, that regardless of that, we're along for the ride with everyone else, although other people aren't doing podcasts. But the whole experience of a human being is you have to have I think people that in the future chances are will have a wider sort of spectrum to take in all this and say, well, this is a part of that human being and not, just milk jugs. Refer to episode 534.
Come on, man. Knock it off with the damn milk jug.
Okay. We shall, throughout the universe, we shall ever, and I hope. I am so sorry, Justin. Listen,
that's
dude,
fine.
We just met. No, I'm not apologizing. I'm saying that you should refer back to that episode.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bales. We're connecting things that we shouldn't connect, because the more little sort of brain sparks we connect together, what are they called? Neurotransmitters we connect together. It strengthens the memory of the milk jug. So forgive me. I didn't mean to do that. It's horrific.
That's twice now.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
You know what? Yeah, I am, and I'm not. I can't.
You're
help
not sorry at all. You think it's hilarious.
No, because look, the reality is that we're all buddies, and it's just a normal thing, as if people that come to listen to us are, sort of
desperate.
They have time to kill.
Yeah.
No, dude, this is an educational podcast. We talk about things that are to do with life, and knowledge-based things like the Anunnaki and, things like that.
What did Red say? Red said our podcast is brought to you by stuff we watched on Netflix and the History Channel. It's like watching reruns of Netflix and the History Channel.
It's always fair enough. See, Red said that, and Red is an educated man. Red, our friend Red Smith is from France, and he's France.
France.
And Red Smith studied. I think he's like a professor, and I know
he knows every language in the world.
Yeah. I know he knows Japanese
and German and English,
and he knows German too.
Yeah, Red is one of those people that makes me feel really dumb.
When he talks to you, when he translates it from French to English, it's so poetic. It's like, man, I wish I spoke English that well. He speaks it so beautifully.
Not everybody, but remember this. So not everybody can be eloquent and that, you know, we all have a role to play, and we're all important in our own ways. So don't, you know, I mean, just because you can't jump into sort of like some poetic, you know, it's what I wanted to get to is that people like, so Red, he has all these references. He listens to this. He says, these guys, their knowledge is freaking internet based and like Netflix, you know? It's like, well, not really.
History Channel.
But the way he would say it, you would feel really proud about it. You're like, well, that's beautiful. I really do enjoy Netflix and History Channel.
I do too. He's quite right. Boy, Red, I'm sorry. You're totally right, Red.
I think it's funny. He listens to us and he speaks all those languages, but he doesn't speak dumbass. So I think that's why he listens. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, I have to listen to these guys murder colloquial." Yeah, I need to listen to them. Yeah, I need to listen to them murder colloquial English.
It's the one language I do not speak.
Yeah, it was like Eloy. Remember when we had I was there, Rob Appelman on the Mad Maker show.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Where was he from? The Netherlands?
He's from the Netherlands.
Okay, so this is like English is like this dude's third language,
and
he is like speaking perfectly back to Eloy and myself while we're interviewing him, and we're giving him dudes and throwing in movie references, and this guy is just wide-eyed, and every once in a while I have that reset moment of this guy, although he speaks English, has absolutely zero clue what we're talking about right now, and we need to rein this back in somehow.
Yeah, because not only is it English, which the guy speaks pretty beautifully, but it's English that's Americanized, and then to add more sort of like a butcher job to it, you know, it has our particulars with the excessive dudes and this and that. I just go for it, dude. You know, I just go for it because I figure, you know, that whatever they get, they can trot along with that. You know,
yeah, they took English in school, but they didn't take Ninja Turtles, so they can't really understand where we're going.
They should maybe adjust English as a second language for other countries to include all the pop culture crap.
I think, you know, it's funny though. I think that you know that glaze that certain people get in if you're ever talking to someone that English is not their first language, and you're talking to them rapid fire. But then you see that slight glaze, like they're like, you know, that most of the sentence, it's just that they're not capturing it. But I think that a lot of these people from Europe, they do, because English is right to the movies and this and that. I don't know how much that's true that they don't understand. Maybe I don't know. I think that they do. Maybe I'm fooling myself. What say you?
I wasn't listening to you.
That's an example, Justin, of what Bales does. See, because look, Bales goes into those two modes. That's why I don't get offended anymore. One day he offended, you know, all of us from the '80s by saying that Motley Crue was no good, and I haven't felt the same about Bales since.
No, I just said, look,
I was that they're no good.
I was like a huge Motley Crue fan, and I was all about them, and I wore their shirts every day. But when I go back and I listen to Dr. Feelgood, which
it doesn't hold up,
which I still think is one of their best albums. I mean, the self-titled with Karabi, I think, is probably the strongest. But out of the Vince Neil catalog, Dr. Feelgood is the pinnacle of their career. But if you listen to it, I said it didn't hold up, especially with jewels such as Rattlesnake Shake. and Eloy just, you know, he was trying to shield his childhood.
Hold on, Rory. Motley Crue was a band in the 80s.
Yeah, Rory's a little younger.
Okay. He's only a year younger than I am. I don't
Rory,
know. Rory,
they're gonna have a movie on Netflix towards the end of the month that Eloy and I are gonna hold hands and watch
with our Motley Crue girls pajamas.
Yep.
It sounds very exciting.
Wait, did we decide on feet or no feet pajamas?
I want to be cozy.
So you want feet?
Feet, no crotch.
I miss feet pajamas.
Oh, yeah, no crotch. Definitely no crotch.
Does it have the bum hatch?
Yeah, but in reverse.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
That works.
That brings a totally new definition to the nasty habits.
One set's front flap, one set's back flap. That way you just gotta figure out ahead of time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Shit.
Oh man, got back flap.
You know what though? I'm glad they didn't pick us. You know how they sent that back in the day? I think it was like one of those satellites they sent out. It was like a time capsule into space, and they sent a rock and roll song by Chuck Berry. They sent like great moments in history and this and that. They said that. Imagine if they would have put something like this little section of the episode, and some alien race got it, and they sort of built their whole society around this is what Earth. They'd probably come back with laser beams and destroy us.
No, they'd come back with front flaps and back flaps.
Yeah. For the whole population.
Teach us which one we're supposed to use.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Hey, Bales. I think something's burning.
Yeah. Yep. Sure is.
Yep.
So another skill that Justin has is he has the memory of an elephant, especially when it comes to
things.
Yeah, especially when it comes to anything WWF, WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Eloy, if you pulled up your favorite wrestler and a match, he could probably start just pulling stupid facts out of the air.
Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little bit more extreme and hit you with a something right out of left field. Okay. So, WWF. How about gorgeous ladies of Glow from back in the day?
I didn't watch much Glow, honestly.
Well, that ended that conversation.
Yeah. I was into that back in the day.
I do like the Netflix show.
Yeah, I like the Glow because as a kid, you'd see these ladies. There was like the Hawaiian sumo chick and this and that, but there were some pretty hot chicks back then. Late night. Channel 33 here in Miami.
At least one of them, I think it was from Glow, ended up actually being in the WWF for a while. She was known as Ivory in WWF, but she was, what was her name? Nina, I think. She was on either Glow or the other one, POW. Powerful Women of Wrestling, except that it was POWW, which made no sense.
Right.
I don't remember that one.
No, she and there was a girl named Terry Powers, I think, who, from that era, who ended up being in WWF.
And that was some great times. Are you an 80s aficionado? Do you prefer the 80s over, say, the 90s decade? Because Bales is so basically, there's a certain vibe if you center it around music culturally, where the 80s there was a lot of excess. And then you have this sort of genre coming in with the Nirvana and all that. And we talk about this a lot on our podcast and stuff. And that sort of into the 90s thing, it started becoming just a little bit grayer and not as showy. Spandex was out and stuff.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like more real, and my poetry is really dark.
Yeah.
I'm sort of torn between the two, I think. There are things I liked better about the 80s and stuff that I liked better about the 90s. It just kind of depends on who it was, really.
As far as wrestling goes, though, you can't really beat, like, 90s Attitude Era, like, for as far as just your pure entertainment wrestling dollar.
That stuff was awesome, but in, like, a totally different way than the 80s stuff was. The 80s stuff was, like cartoon characters, basically.
Agreed. It was you're comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah,
I watched pretty much right up through with some gaps here and there, but I followed along at home. My dad was and still is kind of super into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the 80s it was all about the like super roided up guys and screaming at the top of their lungs and stuff and in the 90s it got more kind of naturalistic.
Well, I remember watching on Saturday mornings. That was that's when I consider it to have changed when it went to prime time.
Yeah. The Raw thing, and then there was the whole Monday Night War between them and WCW, and it was all about just like putting on the biggest show that they could put on every Monday, and it sort of watered it down in a way, whereas where it ended up being like, what huge match can we just give away for free every week? So that ended up in the long run kind of hurting it a little bit, because it's like it made the big shows less special in that way.
I had gone to a few ECW shows that were live.
That must have been insane.
Yeah, the one was pretty ridiculous. Like, one was at Hammerstein when they moved in there.
Oh yeah,
which was like probably the best like wrestling event I've ever been to. But what, the ECW arena there in the strip mall there, that place was, I don't know.
There was hepatitis everywhere.
It was a free for all
because all the blood.
It was it was a good time.
Yeah,
just lawless. You just think of the lawless. You could have been anywhere in the world right there watching anybody do anything.
Right. Yeah, and that ended up shaping the whole like industry for several years, because it was all about how crazy can we get. Like even in WWF, it was how much blood can we have, or how high a ladder can we jump off of?
How many teeth can we knock out going through a cage roof?
That's right.
Jesus. Yeah, it's called hot shotting.
Yes, hot shotting, exactly.
It's just everybody trying to outdo the next person.
Right.
It's actually hot shotting is what I think is going on. Hot shotting is what goes on in the news now. Like everything's just got to be. It's got to be the next big thing, and you wouldn't believe it. And this, and this, and once you start hot shotting a little bit, you can't stop. And it's kind of what did wrestling in. That's kind of why I think it's starting to have a resurgence now.
It's having a resurgence, but it's like among a smaller and smaller audience. I think it's just a smaller amount of people are spending more and more money on it because there's so many options now.
I'm a big proponent of that there that you said, because it's so damn obvious. There's too much to there's too much out there.
Right. Well, it's like all other forms of entertainment. There's just like too many options, so you can't keep up with all of it. And the really hardcore audience is just going to spend more and more on every option, basically.
Yeah.
So the companies are making money, but not many people are watching it anymore, because who can keep up with all of it?
Well, yeah. Yeah. I think that's the case with, say, things like this show as well. There's so much out there, so many hundreds of thousands of podcasts, I think, if not more, videos and just all sort of music. It's stuff like bands. So every now and then, Bales mentions a couple of things in passing. He never goes quite into it. Sometimes he does, but he'll mention a couple of times, about, music and stuff. I mean, the guy, he studied music with you. And that whole avenue of the rock and roll, the band gets together and they, record labels and this and that. It's, how do you guys feel about that? Coming in from a world where that was sort of the standard, people were hoping to get a record, unless you're going to be a teacher or a session, there's all other options. But how do you feel about that now? How do you see nowadays compared to what people had as an option in the past, prior to the internet and all that?
Well, I mean, I think having a record deal gets you basically no money to actually make records anymore. Like, you make money touring, and that's about it, because nobody's going to, people don't buy albums anymore, hardly. They listen to Spotify or Amazon or whatever. So it's all available online, and it's literally the only way you can make money as a like a rock star now is to just go on tour endlessly.
Yeah, but you make less because they sign you into the 360 deal, where they take a cut.
Yeah,
they take a cut of your tour, cut of your merch, cut of all your endorsements,
right.
everything.
So that sucks.
So you got to be a SoundCloud mumble rapper.
We never did start that little Sweetwater account.
We were waiting for Rory to put out some sick beats.
We were not supposed to talk about that, guys.
Oh.
Been practicing.
MC such and such.
MC box beater.
Bring you the D to the I to the R to the T.
MC Power Hammer.
Oh.
That's actually a pretty good name, boy. You should go
There's
with
actually a blacksmithing dance called the Little Giant, which is mimicking a power hammer. It's pretty funny.
Blacksmithing dance.
Yes.
You're an odd lot, you blacksmiths are.
Do you know this dance?
Well, I do, but you'd have to be familiar with the tool. Otherwise, I just look like an idiot.
Oh, I know the tool quite
you
well.
Don't know the tool. You don't know my tools. You don't know where I'm from. You don't know what I've been through.
You don't know me.
You don't know me.
All right, so to bring it back to the last topic, wrestling. Who's your favorite
Of all time?
Oof.
Well, you can throw out a couple categories. I'm not. You don't have to give me one answer. Give me five.
Okay.
My favorite, whatever.
My favorite of all time is Shawn Michaels, and Bales knows this because I used to have a Shawn Michaels standee in my room.
It's true.
So back when WWF was huge and WrestleMania was in Boston, I had a friend who worked at Store 24, and Store 24 got all this like crazy WWF merchandise, including standees. And after they were done with that, he was like, "We're not going to do anything with this Shawn Michaels thing. Do you want it?" I was like, "Do I?" So I took it home, and it was in my room for several years. And my friends made fun of me unmercifully about it. But yeah, Shawn Michaels is my all-time favorite.
Okay, that's a good one. Can't beat that.
My current sort of jumps around a bit. I think the best guy right now is Kenny Omega, who is from he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is right now the kind of the best product out there right now. But there's this new company called All Elite Wrestling that Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes' son, started. Mm-hmm. And so Kenny Omega signed with them because he's kind of friends with that whole group of guys.
KO.
So that's probably my current favorite. You?
Oh, I don't. Do I have a favorite? You know who I liked? I like gimmicks more than anything. So like
Undertaker.
No. I liked like Al Snow when he had the head. I thought that was hilarious. Like you couldn't get funny. Like the more crazy you were, the more you could sell.
Yeah.
Like this is what I'm gonna do. Wait, what? Yeah. I like that, and I like talkers. Like to me, you can't beat like Dusty Rhodes when he would get talking in the promos, and you know, I like a guy that could talk.
One of my favorite talkers ever was Randy Savage.
Yeah,
he was insane.
Those backstage interviews, those little 2-minute cuts where they would go back there and they'd just be out of their skull.
180 degrees.
Yeah. With Mean Gene.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it together.
None of it made any sense. I don't know how Mean Gene kept a straight face during all of it. He had skill. Like he could keep it serious and actually play a straight man to these lunatics that were saying nothing intelligible. Yeah,
dressed like superheroes covered in baby oil.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you really step back and think about it, I'm wearing a tuxedo and I have a microphone and I'm holding it next to a man dressed like He-Man who's 4 times my size.
And Gene's just like, so you lost that match last week. How do you feel about that? That must have been very difficult for you. You're not getting along well with that other gentleman.
Yeah. Remember when the Macho Man got bit by the snake on Saturday morning that time?
Yeah.
Boy, that was rough.
He lived, though.
Yeah, he did, but that was like top 5 one of like the roughest things I remember seeing on TV when I was little. Like that affected me. I remember being like, wait, no. I couldn't believe they were showing it on TV. I couldn't believe I got to watch it.
That was back when they would censor like blood and stuff. There was a time where Brutus Beefcake got like cut open with a guy's spur. Like it was a cowboy character who he took off his boot spur and like dragged it across Beefcake's head. And there's blood everywhere. And they had a giant red X across the screen. I was like, come on, I can't see the blood.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Brutus the Barber, that's right. He got arrested in Boston. He worked for the MBTA in Boston for a while, and they got arrested for possession of cocaine.
Really?
Yeah. In like 2001, I think, something like that.
Oh, so it's
I was like, Brutus Beefcake works here?
Was he still strutting and cutting?
I hope so. He was coked up. He better have been.
What was he doing? Taking the tokens?
I don't remember what his job was.
God, I hope he wasn't driving the frickin' subway.
Why not? It would have gotten me to work faster, probably.
That's a valid point.
So is The Rock no longer a wrestler?
I think he's done. They keep trying to bring him back, and he'll come and make like appearances here and there, but I think this is the last time he wrestled. I think he tore like his pec or his bicep or something, and he was in the middle of shooting a movie, and it delayed the movie. So every contract he signs for a film now, they're like, you can't wrestle because you might get hurt, and that'll screw up our movie.
Yeah,
so,
I think that the number just finally got big enough that wrestling couldn't meet the number.
He's making like $20 million a movie.
Right. You know, I'm sure there was a time that every time he wanted to, Vince McMahon could hit him with the number, be like, whatever you want, here you are. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Now he can't hit that number anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's, Hollywood's money.
That's right. I think
he's in Rampage, for Christ's sakes.
Rampage and what? 3 Fast and Furious movies now?
Jumanji
2 that's coming out?
Are they making a second one?
I think so.
Jesus.
I actually saw that movie. I thought it was pretty good.
We own it.
I have not seen it.
It wasn't horrible.
Yeah, I don't get out much, so.
Is that your dog?
Wow, you can hear that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I can hear her whining.
Yeah. Probably because she can hear me from the top of the stairs.
Idiot.
Bees, go lay down.
Dog has separation anxiety.
She's a moron. What's funny is whenever we're watching a movie and there's dogs or basically any animal on the screen, even if it's animated, she flips out like it's in the room and she has to charge at it.
Nice.
Oh, so when I was watching her, dogs or animals were coming on the screen and she didn't lose her shit, but she would get off the couch, sit in the middle of the living room, and just stare at the TV.
Well, your TV's high enough that works. Ours is on a table, so she like jumps up on the table and like puts her nose up against the screen.
Oh,
like she can bite them or something. She actually knocked the TV into the wall once. It's like, you douchebag,
idiot.
Yeah.
So what else is going on over there, Rory? You still dodging avalanches? I see you filled your power hammer class.
Oh, thank God. I was getting nervous about it, but yeah, after I put Craig's face in front of a camera and made a little video out of it, we sold out today.
I watched that video. He was really like anti-selling it. Yeah, so I mean, if you come here, you got to take it back yourself. None of you are going to work on your own hammer. You can't park at my house. You can't have fires. You can't do this. Golden. You can't do this. But you got to give me this much money.
Yeah. You still have to give me money if you want to show up.
It comes down to, I think people want someone to speak strongly to them. You have this idea of, I want to go and learn blacksmithing from a certain kind of crotchety man.
Yeah, that stereotype.
Right, and I think that if he can portray that like that,
the old man oracle.
Right, it helps.
Well, it's like the local blacksmithing group. I told them, said, you need to start being Mr. Craig School of Blacksmithing. I got my own stuff to do. Said, email the group and let them know. So he says, Power Hammer Workshop, $2,500, and then the 3 days, and that was it. And there was no response. It was just, okay. I read it. It's like, gosh. So I said, I called them. So I'm going to respond back to you, but I'm going to try to sell this a little bit more about what we're doing and why this is important. And if you're looking for a power hammer.
Yeah.
What's that, Bales?
Yeah. You tell them what product they're getting out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what they're walking home with, what their $2,500 gets them.
Yeah, sell it. So did that, and we got a few signed up from that. And I was like, this is it. Like, I'm just going to put him in front of a camera, and he's going to talk. And boom.
You can't do this. You can't do that. I hate you. I don't like you. Your mother sucks. Give me $2,500 and sign up now.
Get the hell out of my shop.
And everyone's like, take my money. Holy shit.
I love this guy. He's
oh my God, that's the guy from the Dirty Smith videos.
Boy, we thought Rory was a jerk.
And then we get it now, Rory. We get it.
But yeah, we're making 23 power hammers. We're going to have 18 guys there, plus Clay, the guy who's leading it, Spencer, his son, Craig and I, and the guy with the forklift. It's going to be a full shop.
It's a lot of freaking power hammers.
I would say so.
It's going to be great.
And they're all going to camp in Craig's yard.
Build big fires.
No fires.
No fires. And bring your own damn groceries. You go to DeRessa's house, and he provides meals and
he'll give you the fuel for the fire.
Yeah. And Craig's like, bring your own damn sandwich, get your own damn breakfast.
No playing the harmonica around fires and barrels.
We don't have any toilets. Bring a bucket.
Try to hold it if you can.
Be a man. Suck it up.
Walk it off.
That dude's rough.
I think what you saw, he was just really self-conscious and intimidated by me putting the camera right in his face.
What the hell is Eloy doing?
What is he putting in his coffee?
Is he freaking cleaning his house? God damn. So Eloy used to have a full home recording studio. He had drums set up, one of those, like a bass that Paul McCartney plays, everything hanging on the wall. And then he just took everything down, and now he just lives like a hoarder.
Now he has 12 Paul McCartney basses.
I haven't seen the Paul McCartney bass in a while.
I am a hoarder.
That's a nice bass.
I liked looking at the bass. now all you see is cardboard boxes.
Don't judge, man.
Man, I was just saying I liked your recording studio space when
Didn't
you had it.
Didn't that change when you brought the shop inside?
Yeah, it got worse.
# laundry baffle.
Is that a Hofner bass?
Yes, it is. It's a Hofner Beatles replica. It's not the top of the line, but I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
It feels good to play, actually. It's a different experience than those sort of Fender, just long scaled, big neck guitars. It's much more comfortable. I can totally see why Paul McCartney liked using that bass. It's very comfortable, and you can dance around the scales very quickly without really making it a big effort,
I love the Hofner bass. You can really get your hands around it. Sorry. What is your favorite Beatles album?
Favorite Beatles album?
Yeah.
That's got to be between Abbey Road, Rubber Soul. I won't say Sgt. Pepper's, although it's a great freaking album. And their first album is really awesome, too. Please Please Me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like them all, but I guess I'd have to go with, I can't decide, dude. You can't, I like Rubber Soul a lot. I guess I'll go with Abbey Road because I could repeatedly listen to that, and with the other one, you have to rest after a few sessions.
My favorite is the White Album, just because it's so eclectic.
That is a great album.
It's just all over the place. I love it.
I mean, for sure, it doesn't compare to Now It's Time for Change by Motley Crue. She Goes Down.
She Goes Down, yeah. Same situation.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know if the White Album would be my favorite album, but it would probably be the one I could listen to the easiest.
Which one's your favorite?
I don't know. I think the White Album could be my favorite. might not be as well, but I think I could listen to it without getting sick of it.
Yes.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't think I do.
Sgt. Pepper was the gateway for me. My parents threw it on when I was like probably 6, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this?"
I can't say that I enjoy the Beatles, so I don't have much to say.
My dad listened to Mustache Rock, so I didn't listen to Beatles until I got much older.
Mustache Rock.
Yeah, Doobie Brothers and REO Speedwagon.
Oh,
it's Mustache Rock.
Boston.
Yes, that's very very popular. The Mustache Rock.
Was he a Bob Seger man?
Not as much Bob Seger. It went to the other place, that like folk rock, late 70s, early 80s, like revival, John Denver, John Mellencamp, Farm Aid bullshit.
Yeah.
There was a healthy tinge of that going on too.
Bales doesn't like the Beatles.
No?
I like some songs here and there, but
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't have albums or anything.
I thought I liked the Beatles, and I got the box set and started listening to it, and there was like, I liked the real early stuff, and then the hits, I guess, occasionally, but the rest of it, I was kind of, I guess I was disappointed in myself. I'm one of those guys.
I just got into Led Zeppelin like 6 years ago. I was a little late on that train.
Yeah, I like the Zepp. Led Zepp 4.
Yeah. I just got into 9 Inch Nails like 10 years ago, I think.
That's true. You've always been a late music bloomer, though.
I kind of have.
Korn came out, and I was like, check this out. You're like, this sucks.
This sucks. Well, no, it was Issues that turned it around because it was more melodic. And then I went back and like that got me into them. And then I went back and listened to their older stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is good. It's very strange.
I pick up on things late. It happens. Sometimes things aren't starting on your radar. Sometimes you're just not ready to hear it.
Yeah. Like Dylan. I love Dylan now. I hated Dylan for like 30 years.
I still hate him.
I can't argue with that impression. It sounds just like him.
Yeah. That's a very good impression, Bales.
Yeah. But it's very strange how that works.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if things find you at the right time or if they just hit your ears right because of what's going on in your life or,
Yeah. I think the iPod changed that a lot for me because it made me want to actually seek out stuff that I wasn't listening to already. So I was much more open-minded about it. I was like, oh, I'll give this a chance. Oh, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that changed a lot when it was like, oh, I'll just take every song ever made, ever with me on a credit card.
Right.
I loved the iPod. It was just amazing to be able to. The first thing I did was obviously transfer all my CDs to.
Which took days.
Took forever. And then, well, you have it all. And it's great to put your headphones on and just lay back, close your eyes, and press random. And you wake up after like an extended period of time with a song that you bought and paid for, but you don't know where the hell you are because everything is so, just a little bit of everything, eclectic. And I kind of like that. And then you're sitting there waking up thinking, what is this? Yeah, I know this. No, I don't. What is this? Is this even on my... And that kind of thing, it was such a great thing. But I think that led into the big problem that we now live with today, which is oversaturate. So before you had to actually take the CD out of the, CD case and insert it into the player.
Right.
And you had that part of you that, oh, well, I'm just going to stick with this one. At some point you had CD changers, but that, I guess that could have been a beginning of, but now that we have the ability to on the fly, we can also say, oh, well, guess what? I'll listen to it later because I can listen to that anytime. And it kind of, I think it is, at least for us that were pre this age that were, it kind of killed certain cool things about music that we used to have. We had no choice but to spend time with it, I think.
Well, it's a double-edged sword because, you back in the old days, you had to listen to the album as a work of art. And it was like you paid money for it. And you're like, well, I'm going to try to like this because I paid money for it. But at the same time, you were more reluctant to sort of branch out into other stuff that you might not have otherwise listened to because you had to pay money for it.
That's right.
Whereas now it's like, let me check that out. It's free. Why not?
Right, and not spend much time with it. Like the other day, I ran into this band from Spain. Just randomly, it said psychedelic, jazz rock, fusion, whatever. Like this whole long thing. Like, oh yeah, I like that. And they put various cameras on parts, different corners of their room. Plus, they mic'd all the instruments, and they basically go through like a 45-minute continuous sort of like, I guess, Pink Floyd type jam. And I said, 45 minutes, cool. And I actually pressed the button, and then I saw them doing the little sort of feedback thing with the guitar, and then the bass, he would hit the back of the bass to create an echo with a pedal and get that reverb. They have the drums, and that the guy, they mixed it afterwards so that the drums aren't as loud during that part of the thing. And I'm listening, I'm saying, okay, that's that, and that's that, and that's that. Okay, that's that. Okay, and then I started catching myself fast forwarding throughout the 45 minutes just to see if I can find a glimpse of something that I thought that was, that whole thing. And since you can do that, for like people like me, unless it's like, I don't know, man. I think this new modern thing has ruined. There's no going back. There's no going back, and we will not spend in general time throughout the course of a whole song or this or that. Nowadays, we're just, it's like the next thing. Squirrel, okay, over here.
Well, didn't we talk about it before that there's just too many other things?
Yeah,
there's too many things. It's just, I think it's a product of that, not a product of just too many other things.
I'm still not a shuffle listener. I still prefer to listen to the whole album all the way through.
I usually agree with that. It depends on if I'm in the mood to just put on a playlist.
You're a dinosaur.
However, I haven't bought an album in over a decade because I just pull it up on YouTube and stream the damn thing.
I didn't hear what you said when I said you were a dinosaur.
Hey, but this, so, well, when I was a kid, we had tapes. I was out of records, and then we went into CDs. And Eloy and I have talked about this before, where we'd get the CD, we'd go home, we'd put on the album, we'd be looking through the booklet, looking at the pictures, reading all the lyrics. So, but Justin had this habit that I still remember and find peculiar. He would take the CD out, put it in, hit play, take the booklet out, and what's the first thing you did with the booklet?
I would smell it.
Me too. Really? Me too. 100%. I'd smell it. I'd take the CD and the first part of the booklet, the cover, I'd smell it.
What?
Yep.
And I'd
smell good.
Then I'd open up the first page and I'd smell each page. And see, that tells me that Justin is all right.
That's right.
Okay, you know why? Because I totally understand that. Screw the people that don't smell CD
and
booklets.
Different labels had different smells.
Mm-hmm.
Like different record labels would have different smells with their printed artwork. So like the Metallica's Black Album had a distinct smell that was very pleasant. And then like Slayer's Seasons in the Abyss had like this weird sort of harsh smell that I thought was oddly fitting because their music was very harsh.
Yeah.
So could you predict how well the album was going to be by the way it smelled before you listened to it?
I probably should have. I should have been able to foresee that. You
know what it was? Number one, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but I think that we'll see. In retrospect, right? Not at the time. At the time, you're not. At the time, you just pick it up and you're like, oh yeah. And so in retrospect, it was like you paid for this CD, you unpack you strip the cellophane off of it, and you've got this. It's kind of like that.
Now hitting the stage.
Then you had to mess with
this. So long, sugar.
Well, then you had to mess with the seal across the top for like an hour and a half.
Okay, so here's the thing.
I gotta smell your first page right now.
You know what? You laugh, but I'm sure you've done that. Come on, admit it. You've done that.
I have not. Sorry.
You have never opened a CD. You've never bought. You've purchased CDs.
Yes, I've been known to purchase a couple.
But like in the past, back in the day,
I couldn't get it out of that box fast enough and get it listened to it.
After I saw Justin do it, I went back and smelled a few, but I think I'd owned them for a while.
So they just smelled like you.
So the fresh date was gone. Yeah.
Listen, just to recap this thing as far as what I think, looking back. One, you should have like a little button so that it's on cue. It's the you purchased it, you spent money on it. There wasn't a lot of that around.
If you got one from like a thrift store, it wouldn't be the same.
No,
it would not.
It would not.
Nope, it would not, because it's already been smelled.
Could have used it said smelt.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody else did that, and that's not right.
Somebody else sucked it all into their nose.
Going down to the smelt CD store.
It's so sad, but it's true.
Pre-smelt.
That's why they were so cheap by that point.
It's
pre-smelled.
So was it the adhesive? Was it
the
sweat from the little Chinese children hands putting these together?
The little what? The little
booklet.
What?
The booklet had a smell.
Indian sweatshops that were putting these together. Did they have like a distinct salty sulfur to them?
They would see, this is what you guys don't know. Back in the day, there was a time between 1995 and 1985 that they would, in those sweatshops, they would, in little cubicles, they would take the tears of 1,000 crying virgins, and they would.
I think I saw this on Netflix or History Channel.
Look, it's that brand new smell plus the thing that you spent the money on this thing that, boy, I hope it's great. And then
smells good.
It smells good. So I'm sure that, that's, and so it's that. And I totally agree.
Like money? Like money has a certain smell to it.
Yeah, usually dirty.
You know how many people put that in their armpits but you smell money?
Oh yeah.
You know how many people and drop it in like toilets across the country?
Yeah, I used to work at a movie theater, and like we had a Saturday morning meeting once, and the managers were telling us, "You handle money all day. You need to wash your hands frequently because you're serving food behind the counter, and money is filthy." They have done studies, and they have found poop on money.
Well, shoot, here I am.
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I got a stained blue one. I thought I was lucky. Like a winter fresh dollar bill.
No, dude, no. Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So, anyways, we're molesting the books of our CDs.
I think some of the ink would actually have like a sweet smell to it.
Some of it would, yeah. The printing.
Oh, wait a second. What? Now Bales is offering up things. He just spent like an hour saying he didn't do that and that was weird, and now he's saying.
I'm speculating.
No, you're not speculating nothing. I'm sure you opened up you had.
I told you, as soon as I saw him smell it, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Listen to me. You had sniffing parties all across the 80s and 90s.
With panties, yeah.
He spends 20 minutes smell shaming me, and then he's like, oh, no, I get what he's saying.
Yeah, I think it's... But just, nowadays, and I wouldn't go back. With all that's lost, I think that we're in a kind of sweet spot where we can investigate and be entertained by just about, Ecuadorian snow midgets. Have at it. You can find whatever you want on the internet.
Wait, Ecuadorian snow midgets?
Yeah, that was very specific.
Well.
So if you're in Ecuador and you run across some snow, there's a good chance there's going to be a small person around.
Well, you get the gist of it, don't you?
Are they dancing? Or juggling?
I think this was going to be a good band name, but I'm thinking now we have a Circus du Soleil performance.
Snow midget wrestling.
Oh, they got their little war cries.
Yeah.
Their power moves with snowballs.
That's right. Oh my God! Snowball to the face!
You got snowballed.
So what's the I guess you guys that are professionally trained and studied and educated musically, we touched on it, but really at this point that whole sort of, I guess, the adventure of the rock band and those sort of that there's none of that no more. You can essentially do it all from home on your computer without a band, and nobody would know because there's another thing attached to it. Nobody knows the frickin' difference between a real musician and something that's inputted computer wise. You might know, I might know, and even then, you have suspension of disbelief when you're listening to something because you're not paying particular attention to in a general sense, unless you're really out to get, hey, is this? What I'm saying is that, is it dead? It's dead. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think it's totally dead. It is true that if you're good enough and you spend enough money, you can do everything from your house. You still need the distribution, unless you're lucky enough to put it on YouTube and just have it go viral.
Okay.
There still needs to be some kind of marketing behind it in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's true of a lot of sort of art / entertainment forms now. Is the potential is there for DIY for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is whether it gets seen.
And do you think that is mostly it's who you know?
I mean, I think that's always been a big element of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
So with that being said, mentioning distribution, we take somebody like pop culture, Bieber, who came out of YouTube. It is now up there. I mean, sales-wise, audience-wise, with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Is there any? I don't know how to say this, because I say irritation wouldn't be the appropriate word, but I guess
there's irritation.
Does he really have it to be something like that?
No, he stinks.
I would have to agree with that, although he can play guitar, drums, this and that. So in effect, I mean, it's no worse than, say, the Menudo that we were, and you know what? Menudo started popping up all over the place after you mentioned that, Rory, the other week. Unbelievable, dude. I had Menudo everywhere. Right.
Well, with that being said, like Ricky Martin, could it be like a Bieberish?
No, but I don't know to the extent of his musical writing. Like, I don't know, but
he's got great fashion sense, though.
Oh, that's another issue. So how about that? You take a frickin' glob of crap musically, and that's obviously a personal opinion everybody's got, and you dress it up, to make for this great pop culture thing. It's so shallow. The same issue we experienced throughout, this whole thing with pop music, rock and roll throughout the decades. And then people in mass salivate and head straight for the frickin' ticket, gates. And it's all shallow. And yet the majority goeth in that direction. And then you have these awesome things like Black Sabbath and of course I'm going back like 4 decades, but you know what I'm saying? It's like you package something at night, you package a piece of shit, and people will buy it if it's. I don't get it, dude.
I think there's always been a really odd worship of mediocrity in like any kind of popular art. It's like mediocre.
How do we tap into that with this podcast?
But like mediocre is accessible to people and it's identifiable and they're like, "Ooh, I could do this." It's like, I mean, Adam Sandler is hilarious, but like, let's be honest, he's not exactly highbrow at all. But it's like anybody could just go, "Oh, yeah."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But it's so funny.
It is funny, but it's like stupid funny.
Yeah, you're right. I totally. That's a good explanation there. People can repeat it comfortably. There's no exerting any effort, and it satisfies their inner whatever vibe that is, and hence they connect, and it's a beautiful life, and it's shit. Gotcha. It makes sense to me 100%. Yep. And I'm talking in reference to, because there's a lot of that, there's a lot of that, the SNL sort of like slapstick and this and that. There's room for all of that. But I'm talking about like in hordes of human populations screaming over beaver.
Well, I think that translates to music, like the music that is simple and easily digestible makes a ton of money because anybody can get into it.
What a shame. But
yeah, it sucks. Versus, you know, something that's sophisticated.
You can't nowadays, like, you go, like, so I like primarily 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. After the 80s, during the 80s, I liked the bands that were there, but in general now I encompass everything. Like, I appreciate the whole freaking thing looking back, but you can't convince, if you busted out randomly with, I don't know, whatever, the album Pet Sounds and said, this is the Beach Boys, that's the first strike. Just the naming of it, you're already blocking Beach Boys. Well, that sounds stupid. You know, and this is like, to people, you know, maybe that aren't exposed to that. And this album is like a symphony. It's a rock. No, chances are you're.
Now that sounds like work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just especially with like kids now that are growing up with Spotify and like all the streaming things where they can just listen to any song they want to whenever they want in any order they want. There isn't the patience anymore to sit down and listen to a 60-minute album as a work anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, I like this one song. Okay. And let's move on to this other song.
Do any of you guys listen to a full on, because I'll be honest with you, I used to do that, but I'm part of this here now, and I'm not going back. You know, it's like the guy eating the steak in the Matrix. He says, I know it's not a steak. It tastes like a steak. I know I'm eating, like, some reactions in my brain are causing this to be, but I don't care. I love it, and I'm in this wine, and I'm staying here. I kind of have to agree. It's funny, but I have to agree. I love the ready, available click, you know, and that. But do any of you guys sit and listen to full albums?
Yeah, I still do. It depends on where I am and like if I have time to get through it all. But like if I'm commuting to work or whatever, I'll say I want to listen to this album. I'll start and listen to 2/3 of it, and then I get to work, and then when I leave, I'll pick up where I left off. So like, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. But if I want to hear a full album, I'll still listen to a full album.
I don't have a lot of full albums to listen to. That's something that's kind of hard to acquire without paying through the nose for it.
All you got to do is YouTube, blah, blah, full album.
A lot of times I don't have it.
I have Amazon Unlimited that has just about everything.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. For like $8 a month or something.
Oh, my goodness. That's so... And can you download them?
You can download them to your phone, so you can listen to them offline, yeah.
Okay. So that's...
Sweet.
Yeah.
Especially when they like re-release stuff that like old albums that have been remastered and have a ton of bonus tracks. Like Metallica have been re-releasing all their old stuff with like discs and discs of bonus material, and that all that's on there. So that's pretty cool. Like, oh, I can hear it remastered and hear like rough mixes and demos and all that other stuff.
I just listened to a remastered thrash metal album and it sounded really weird.
Which one?
Rust in Peace.
Oh,
from what year?
I don't know, but it sounded like they were adding in. It sounded like they were adding in ambient noise and crowd noise. I was like, "What is this?"
I was this week listening to some remastered Megadeth because in 2004 he went and remixed everything, all of his older albums. He remixed it all, and some of the choices he made are interesting because, like, you know, in the mid 80s, late 80s, whatever, it kind of sounded muddy because he didn't, like, production wise, they didn't have that much money to work with.
Hold on, I don't mean to interject, but I have a different experience with in my memory banks as far as the Megadeth sound. To me, it was freaking like heavy, crisp, in your face.
Well, after a few albums, it was that way, but like the first few were a little bit, kind of messy sounding because they didn't have a ton of money. So he went back and remixed those, and like you can hear everything a little bit more clearly, but he kind of made it sound like indie rock almost. Like everything's really dry on the early stuff, and it doesn't sound right to me. So that's interesting that we both listened to that kind of stuff this week.
Well, I didn't listen to... Oh, you mean Bales?
Bales, yeah.
Yeah. So how about you, Rory?
Or weird, I thought.
Do you listen to full albums?
Roy went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. I mean, as far as the whole full album thing, I think we've all lost a little bit of, and that's a big statement, but sort of that
discipline.
Yes, okay, that's a good word for it. Discipline. We've lost that. Frankly, I don't, and I have sometimes I have the intention of saying I'm going to play this full album, and then let me check that out and this and that, and then it's just the way we're allowed to bounce everywhere, and every time you bounce, incidentally, there's another commercial waiting for you. So
some people put a lot of time into their song order. Like, I remember we used to sit in a room and shuffle around song order to try to get a good flow.
For the album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd be like, okay, we want to start out with something heavy to get everybody energized, and then you want to bring it down a little bit, and then you want to bring it back up. And
we did that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, we used to go to a friend's warehouse to play, and we weren't by any stretch of the imagination good. There were good players, but as a unit, there was no. The whole idea was, and I understood this at an early age, that you don't play to overtake your musical, group.
Says you.
That's what a drummer would say. That's the whole problem right there. And we had that same problem. The drummer always wanted to just, railroad the whole thing. And so you have to play as a unit. See, you screwed up the whole thing because now it just makes no.
I didn't mean to derail you there. But.
Well, no, because it's true. That's exactly the thing. But we would get together, and back in the day, and we had one of those. I don't know what they call them, but they're the room mics that are flat and square, the Paz, or I don't know what kind of mic that is, but they use them for meetings. And they're a flat, square mic. Have you seen those before? They use them for drums, too, for the kick drum as well.
Yeah.
And they'd put that in the middle of the room, dangling. And we'd come out with some great... And we had our whole cassette stereo deck there, recorder. And we'd come out with a lot of jamming. I mean, just a lot of sessions just jamming and try to... But back then, people wouldn't... It's like it was playing and learning in a setting that's sort of like, I guess, undisciplined. And then somebody brought in a 4-track cassette recorder. Did you guys ever use one of those?
I don't think we ever did with Debris, but the band that I had in college, we did, and we recorded a couple demos that way.
Yeah,
and they sounded terrible.
Yeah,
you had to bounce everything. Like, you recorded drums on one track and then bass and then 2 guitars, and then you have to bounce everything down to 2 or whatever just to make room for vocals.
Yeah,
everything sounded like just mud. But
looking back at it, it had a dial that you could increase the speed of the tape being fed and recorded.
It would improve the quality.
That's right.
Yeah. So with like a 90-minute tape, you'd get like 22 minutes or something, because it would use both sides simultaneously, and you'd speed it up so it would cut it in half.
And then what you would have to do, which we didn't do back then, or that I can remember, we're talking a long time ago, but what you would do is you'd play it back on that high speed, which you recorded it on in the first place, and then you would send it out via, RCA left and right to an actual tape and record that.
Yeah, you'd have to dump it to a regular tape deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be the Chipmunks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, good things.
Yeah, by the time Bales and I were doing the Debris thing, what'd you have, like a little mini digital tape recorder?
I had a mini DV video recorder, but we tracked in a studio on 2-inch tape.
No, I know that, but when we were just like jamming and trying to come up with ideas, you had some kind of...
Oh, I had a mini disc.
Mini disc, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are cool. And you had the mixing board, like 4-track?
No, it was just like a little mini disc type pocket recorder with a microphone.
Oh.
That was how we just, would jam out ideas and stuff.
Yeah, pre-production.
Yeah. And then I bought like a 4 or 8 track digital recorder that used like flashcards.
Yeah, like a Tascam.
Yeah, for multi-tracking, for like, vocal harmonies, whatever.
With
the first time we were in the studio, it was 2-inch tape, and then the second time we went in, that's when everyone was rolling into Pro Tools.
Yeah.
What year was that roughly?
The 2-inch tape was 2001.
Yeah, 2000, I think. Yeah, and then by the time we did the EP, I think was 02, 03, and we would do drums to 2-inch, and everything else was digital.
That's interesting. In 98, 99, I purchased a ADAT machine and a big ass mixing board, which I still have to this. It's just sitting there because, frankly,
well, the ADAT had what, 8 tracks?
It had 8 tracks, and you could stack. You could purchase a secondary and
slave them together for 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was the future at the moment. And then Pro Tools came out, and I jumped on that immediately. It came in a blue and white box. It said DigiDesign on it with a big D, and now it was purchased by Avid. But that with a big D, is that what you're laughing at? I knew it. You can't say big D without. But once that happened, that you could do that on your computer, boy. A lot of people say that was the end.
That actually took work and creativity, and you had to do all your multi-tracking, and you had to do your mixing. And now kids are just going to, plug it into their iPhone and doing their stupid frickin' mumble rap and mounting to SoundCloud. They're just doing a live to 2. We're back to live to 2.
It's full circle.
They're direct now?
It's like, please me. It was recorded in like 11 hours.
Yeah, you keep talking about this mumble rap, Bales, but I don't think you're researching it. You just know the words mumble rap.
No, I've seen some videos of dudes like.
Can you do some?
No.
Oh. Would have been cool if you just sort of busted it out.
That would have been awesome.
No, I've seen people do YouTube videos where they just throw a groove into a loop, and then they'll do some sound effects in a loop, and then they'll go back in with their stupid little vocals. Bitch.
It's so stupid. I totally agree with you on that.
It sounds like what a song sounds like if you're in a club. Like you can just hear the rhythm, some of the high hits, and then you just need a drink in your hand and just like.
From what you're talking, Bales, it sounds like Reggie Watts. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He was doing that, looping his voice. He had like a loop in a drum machine, and sometimes that's what he would do. He would just kind of make nonsense words. It sounded like somebody singing.
Are you talking about that dude that has that pedal and he does like little shows? Is he modern nowadays?
Yeah. Yeah.
But he sounds good though.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, okay. If it's the same guy I'm thinking about,
big afro.
Okay, he's badass.
He's great.
But he's
Watch is awesome, but
he's got sort of like the knowledge of the layering and stuff. What Bales is saying is sort of like a ridiculous sort of like, oh, it's like you singing in the shower to the radio.
Yeah. And then you go get some crappy tattoos, throw some metal in your face, and you call yourself Little Pump.
Oh, it's horrible, dude. And you know what? Sadly,
is that name taken?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sadly, that's where we're at, and it's not going to change course. I don't see it changing course, dude.
So the next album is going to be called Little Pump and the Big D. Scratch.